Is Ireland doing so well? Why are people leaving? Why are working professionals living in shared bedrooms well into their 30s? Why are families stuck in hotels for years? And why does everyday life feel like a financial trap instead of an opportunity? Because behind the headlines and GDP rankings, Ireland is facing a crisis that is quietly making normal life impossible. This is the hidden reality of Ireland's economic collapse. The illusion of wealth. Ireland regularly appears near the top of global rankings for GDP per capita. On paper, it looks richer than Germany, France, or even the UK, but this number is deeply misleading. Ireland's economy is heavily distorted by multinational corporations. Tech giants, pharmaceutical companies, and financial firms shift their profits through Ireland to benefit from low corporate taxes. Those profits inflate national statistics, but they do not reflect the real income or living standards of ordinary people. In fact, when adjusted for this distortion, Ireland's actual domestic economy is far smaller and weaker than the numbers suggest. The country looks rich, but the people feel poor. The housing crisis that broke everything. At the center of Ireland's crisis is housing. Rent prices have reached record levels across the country, not just in Dublin. A single room in a shared apartment can cost more than an entire mortgage payment in other European countries. One-bedroom apartments are completely out of reach for most workers, even those with stable full-time jobs. Vacancy rates are near zero. Viewings attract dozens of applicants within minutes. Landlords can raise rents almost indefinitely. And buying a home? For many, it's no longer even a dream. House prices have doubled or tripled in a single generation. First-time buyers are locked out by massive deposits, strict lending rules, and competition from the investment funds that buy entire housing developments before individuals ever get a chance. Ireland doesn't just have expensive housing, it has a housing shortage so severe that it affects every part of society. Homelessness in a rich country. Perhaps the most shocking consequence of this crisis is homelessness. Ireland now has tens of thousands of people officially classified as homeless. This includes working adults, children, and entire families. Many are not living on the streets, but in emergency accommodations, hotels, and temporary shelters. Sometimes for years. Children are growing up without stable homes in one of Europe's wealthiest countries. And this is not the result of personal failure. It's the result of structural collapse. There simply are not enough homes, and the homes that do exist are too expensive. Supporters of the system often argue that Ireland's high salaries compensate for the high cost of living, but that argument falls apart quickly. Yes, salaries in sectors like tech and finance are higher than average, but for teachers, nurses, service workers, construction workers, and public sector employees, wages have not kept up with inflation or housing costs. Even professionals earning above average income struggle to save money after paying rent, utilities, transport, childcare, and taxes. A high salary means nothing when basic survival absorbs almost all of it. The cost of everyday life housing is only part of the problem. Ireland has become expensive across the board. Groceries cost more than in many EU countries. Electricity and gas prices remain high. Public transport is costly and often unreliable. Childcare costs are among the highest in Europe. A single unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, a rent increase, can push people into debt almost instantly. For many residents, financial stress is constant, not because they live extravagantly, but because the system leaves no margin for error. Healthcare under pressure. Ireland does not have a fully universal healthcare system. While public healthcare exists, waiting times can stretch into months or even years for non-emergency procedures. Many people feel forced to pay for private health insurance just to access basic care in a reasonable time frame. This creates a two-tier system: those who can afford faster treatment and those who must wait. In a country that presents itself as modern and developed, access to healthcare has become another source of inequality and frustration. The rental trap. One of the most damaging aspects of Ireland's crisis is how difficult it is to escape renting. High rents make saving for a deposit nearly impossible. At the same time, strict mortgage rules mean banks often reject applicants who have spent years paying rent higher than a potential mortgage. This creates a cruel paradox. You can afford rent, but you can't afford ownership, so people remain trapped in insecure rental contracts, facing constant rent increases and the threat of eviction. Emigration returns. Again, Ireland has a long history of emigration, and now it's happening again. Young people, graduates, skilled workers, and even families are leaving the country in search of affordable housing and a better quality of life. Australia, Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, and the UK have become popular destinations. This is not a brain drain caused by lack of jobs. It's a housing-driven exodus. People are not leaving because Ireland failed economically. They are leaving because the benefits of that economy are inaccessible. Foreign investment versus local needs. Ireland's housing market has increasingly become a financial asset rather than a social necessity. International investment funds buy large numbers of properties to rent at maximum profit. Short-term rentals reduce long-term housing supply. Entire developments are built with investors in mind, not families. The result is a market that prioritizes returns over residents. Homes are treated as commodities. People are treated as an afterthought. Government promises, slow results. Successive governments have acknowledged the housing crisis. Plans are announced. Targets are set. Funding is allocated. But construction remains slow. Bureaucracy delays projects. Planning systems are overwhelmed. Meanwhile, demand continues to rise faster than supply. For people living the reality of this crisis, promises feel distant and ineffective. Each year without real change deepens public frustration and distrust. Inequality. Beneath the surface. Ireland's crisis has created a sharp divide. Those who bought homes years ago or inherited property have seen their wealth grow dramatically. Those who didn't are locked out. The gap between renters and homeowners is becoming permanent. This is reshaping Irish society, turning housing into a defining factor of class and opportunity. Mental health and social consequences. Living under constant financial pressure has consequences beyond money. Stress, anxiety, delayed family planning, and burnout are becoming widespread. People postpone having children, delay relationships, or move back in with parents not by choice, but by necessity. When basic stability becomes unattainable, long-term planning disappears. A society cannot thrive under permanent uncertainty. A country at a crossroads. Ireland is not a failed state. It is not an economic disaster, but it is a country where growth has been disconnected from lived reality. An economy that looks successful from the outside, while everyday life becomes harder year after year. If housing remains unaffordable, if wages continue to lag behind costs, and if social infrastructure fails to keep up, Ireland risks losing exactly what made it strong, its people.